Hey guys, this is Mark Jesse. I'm an attorney and have been for 30 years. I'm licensed to practice both in state and federal court. I've tried over 100 jury trials. I have dealt with a lot of federal cases involving the FBI, the ATF, DEA, Homeland Security, and in a lot of those cases, there's electronic investigation that often involves serving subpoenas on internet providers, serving subpoenas on phone providers. I've done a number of child pornography type cases where all of that's fairly common. And I've watched with great interest on YouTube a number of YouTube internet detectives who are trying to figure out these Delphi murders. And I think one of the things that up until now everybody seems to have missed is how things work kind of in the real world. And here's what it is. If they have Libby's phone that's been talking to Anthony Shots through an app, that led them to Keegan Kline, who was creating the Anthony Shots account. And you can tell that they have subpoenaed internet records and carrier records because in the transcript that's been released of the very long interview they did with him several years ago, they are specifically talking to him about they can see he's logging in and logging out from two separate devices at his father's home because it's the same IP address that is connected to that home. You'll notice in that interview they're specifically targeting, did you give anybody the password to your account or access to your device at your house? Or he went to Vegas for a short period of time and there were some searches performed there. They can tell he's in Vegas because he's connecting through either, a hotel's wireless or his home wireless or whatever. But what's missing from the analysis is if they were able to subpoena records from TikTok or Instagram or some app, it would show the traffic that occurred on that account. And if they have internet records from Keegan's house, it would show which days he was logging in and out from his house. But it would also show if some third party, like Richard Kline, had his password, because if now you have Richard Allen who knows Keegan's password to the Anthony Shots account, and so he's logging in and talking to these girls using the Anthony Shots account, it would show a different IP address. And it appears that that did not occur because there is no talk about, hey, we discovered that it was being, somebody over in Delphi was doing that. Who did you give that information to? It appears that he had Dropbox access was being granted to multiple other people. But there's no talk so far that they have discovered Richard Allen's network or computers or access devices or anything were in any way, shape, or form connected to the Dropbox that Keegan Kline was using. And so I think you can speculate all you want, but you have to think about the digital footprints that would be left behind if Richard Allen was in contact with Keegan Kline. It would either be by phone. They certainly should have some phone records of that effect, but apparently they don't. They would have to have, if they're texting each other, they would have, because if they were not using the app to talk to each other, so they were texting each other. The entire record is absent that they ever had any contact with each other in any way, shape, or form. And so it makes me think that Keegan, whatever trouble he's gotten himself into, and whatever conversations he was having with these girls to try to catfish them, unless Richard Allen was coming over to his house and they were discussing things one-on-one, live and in person, or unless Richard Allen was sitting on his couch using Keegan's phone to talk to these girls, it doesn't appear that there's any digital footprint left by Richard Allen in any way, shape, or form that connects him, and if so, if there was any of that, they would have known that since at least 2000 when they went and interviewed Keegan, and it is 2022. So recently then, it appears that Keegan Kline told him something was thrown off the bridge. They spent 5 weeks out there searching high and low, so he must have told them it was something of extreme significance. But they apparently didn't find anything, or at least nothing's been reported that they found. So that's interesting. What is interesting is just shortly after the whole search of the Wabash River, next thing you know, they're over at Richard Allen's house doing a search warrant. If there would be no reason to delay executing a search warrant for 5 years unless they got some recent new information. Now, there's a rumor that Richard Allen had stolen some power tools from the neighbor, and that's what they were there looking for. If that's true, that means they stumbled upon something during the course and scope of that search that had to immediately tie him to the Delphi murders, because he was quickly charged with murder, less than 2 weeks later after the search warrant was executed. That's one possibility. Or there has to be some information that was provided to authorities just recently that doesn't match up with like leaving a digital footprint from 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it's going to be really curious when the probable cause affidavit gets released. We're all going to get to figure out what that is. But I'm going to go on the record and say I'm guessing that a bunch of the people that are internet detectives have got this completely wrong. And we'll know in a week or two. Good luck.